It is known that adopting a dog is not always easy. When you bring a dog into your home, it is difficult to know what it has been through since the day it was born. When you look at a dog, it is not an easy task to know if it has been abused or lived on the streets or had strange experiences that may have influenced its behavior. While some shelters may be able to help you with such dilemmas, they will probably not be able to provide all the answers. Wolfgang, a cute husky, had a difficult and sad past, but fortunately for the people who adopted him, all he needed was a little love and care. Wolfgang changed from end to end in a very short time. Poor, lost, and sad. That's how the Davises described the dog that wandered through their neighborhood in November 2015. They felt a special connection to this dog and wanted to get to know him better. They were afraid of meeting him, but in the end, they were not disappointed. What was clear beyond a shadow of a doubt was that this cute dog needed help. When they finally managed to get him to trust them, the dog hesitantly approached the couple. Before we continue, please subscribe, hit the like button, and click the notification bell for more amazing stories to come. He was afraid of everyone, but especially of the woman's husband. The Davises wrote in the post, "As you can see, he was in pretty bad shape in this picture. Notice how thin he was. His ribs were really visible. He also had a large scar down the side of his body." Wolfgar's fur was badly damaged by the fact that he had been on the streets for so long. He was not only dangerously underweight, Wolfgar's owner Danny said, he was also suffering from scabies. Huskies have 2 layers of skin, so for his skin to be so red, dry, and full of spots, it must have been infected for quite some time. Our poor guy must have suffered for months. Wolfgar was also given antibiotics and a medicated wash because his immune system had almost completely crashed. After a short time, the time came, and the couple took the cute dog into their home. They'd already built him a small house, a cute and cozy kennel, just for him. The couple shared. He acclimated to our home without difficulty, which made us believe that he had wandered many places in the past. We were not sure for how long and where, but it was clear that he had been through many hardships and unpleasant journeys. They also learned that the dog did not have a chip. Not that it would have mattered, because we would not have returned him anyway, Danny Davis said. Wolfgang had been living on the streets for a long time, and the couple had a few theories as to why. In fact, they believed he had been kidnapped by a negligent and cruel owner, which could explain the horrific scar on his emaciated body. This assumption was confirmed by the cute dog's very clear aversion to any human contact. It took Wolfgang some time to adjust to his new surroundings. He cried in his little house the first few nights. It was a heartbreaking sight for anyone who saw the poor little guy. Unfortunately, because of his scabies, the couple could not allow him to sleep in their room at night, although they made sure he had a comfortable bed, delicious and plentiful food, and good air in his new kennel. Wolfgang couldn't stop sleeping during the first few days in his new home. He slept wherever he could lay his head. He was so tired from his life of suffering, but now he could sleep peacefully and without stress. The couple hoped. Danny and his wife, Lucy, said, "Now that he has arrived in a warm and loving place, he mostly sleeps in his kennel or on a soft blanket in the living room." It seemed that Wolfgang was becoming more and more comfortable in his new surroundings, and over time, he also got used to his new owners. It didn't take him long to forget his difficult past and start enjoying the things in his new home. The dog's owners shared. "He especially loved to eat from my hand. Sometimes it's the only way to get him to eat his food," Lucy said with a smile. Despite their initial apprehension, the owners decided to take Wolfgang to the dog park for the first time. Supervised, of course, mostly. They were worried about how he would interact with the other dogs once he got out and saw all the hustle and bustle he wasn't used to. They hoped they wouldn't run into any major problems and that the trip would end peacefully and with the other dogs. It soon became clear that Wolfgang was as friendly and playful as befits a classic husky. For his owner, it was a great joy and a sign that everything would be fine. The cutest thing happened on the way to the dog park. Wolfgang jumped into the lake. Luckily, he was a great swimmer. The owner managed to capture the moment on his camera just before he went in. For a dog that was rescued from the street just a few weeks ago, it was a definitely positive sign of activity and joy. Back at the dog park, Danny continued to photograph Wolfgang to document his amazing recovery. It was simply wonderful to watch the cute dog who had been through so many difficult events in his life and now enjoyed running around like a happy puppy. Lucy was happy that he was behaving like any normal dog. Wolfgang may have been one of the unlucky dogs in the past, but now at the dog park, he was like everyone else, and the Davises couldn't have been happier. Lucy testified that the dog was doing well in the first few days. His health began to improve, and he was on his way to a full recovery. Danny and Lucy were so happy to see how quickly the dog was on the right track. Despite all their concerns, the couple believed they would be able to repair the damage that had happened to this dog, and indeed, their success was guaranteed. In response to this photo of Wolfgang running wild with other dogs, Danny said, he got along well with most other dogs, provided they were also friendly. Several times, we encountered aggressive or suspicious dogs that barked at him, but Wolfgang was very quiet compared to the husky. He never barked back. Most of the time, he seemed completely calm. This was certainly an amazing thing, especially considering all the fights and confrontations he had while he was busy fighting for survival on the tough streets. Wolfgang's behavior proved that despite everything, his spirit was not broken. The dog was a source of inspiration for other dog owners who were all amazed by his great progress. Wolfgang had met many other dogs at the dog park, but now it was time to meet his owner's other huskies. The couple were still a little cautious when they did so, Wolfgang's past experiences having undoubtedly left him traumatized in some ways. Wolfgang, however, made it clear after a while that he wanted to be friends with the other huskies. Despite the challenges created by his difficult past, the dog faced them bravely with a strong will to live and move forward. With the help of the love he received from his surroundings, he developed new relationships and learned to trust the people who cared for him. Over time, the dog also bonded with other dogs in his new family, becoming a loyal and trustworthy friend. As time went on, Wolfgang's hair began to fill in the areas where his irritated skin was exposed. As the hair grew back, the owners noticed that his color had begun to change. His fur had previously been a dark red, but now it was starting to take on a more grayish hue, and in the sunlight, it even looked like dark copper. Wolfgang began to look like a completely different dog, not only emotionally, but physically as well. The support and love that Wolfgang received from his environment certainly strengthened him and helped him recover. He became a beloved character who reminded everyone of the strength and power that lies in the important gift called giving and warmth. He proved that even someone who has gone through a difficult lifestyle like this dog can overcome all obstacles and difficult challenges. Wolfgang's story was a story of hope, perseverance, and overcoming, which testified to the ability of animals to recover even from difficult situations and ongoing illnesses. Just 1 month after the couple adopted him, Wolfgang became a completely different dog. When they first welcomed him into their home, he showed signs of stress and fear, but now he is no longer shy or anxious. The couple also discovered that one of his favorite pastimes is car rides. In addition, Wolfgang loved to go for walks in the fields, forests, or parks. He enjoyed exploring new surroundings, smelling new smells, and meeting other animals. But above all, Wolfgang loved to play with a rubber ball or tennis ball, a game he could play every day, all day long. Wolfgang's desire to nap after adoption initially seemed like a result of his mental fatigue, but it soon became clear that it was simply part of his nature. The couple wrote, "If there was one thing in the world that Wolfgang loved more than making friends with other dogs and going on car rides, it was to sleep, and sleep a lot." The fact that Wolfgang always slept peacefully in the same spot with his belly exposed was a sign that he was happy and at peace in his new home, as dogs never expose their bellies if they feel threatened. An important part of the physical rehabilitation of abused dogs is sleep. Good sleep contributes to the proper development of the nervous and physical systems of young dogs and contributes to the rehabilitation and maintenance of the dog's health, even in old age. Wolfgang's owners discovered how much he loved to observe other people. They said he always loved going to the backyard. He could sit and watch other people in the neighborhood for hours. When people got too close to the house, he would immediately start barking to protect us. We loved that protective aspect of him, although now he was much calmer with strangers. The fact that Wolfgang always tried to keep his family safe showed that he was emotionally attached to them. He also started to gain weight, which increased his self-confidence and turned him into a protective dog. Soon his weight was completely normal, although Wolfgang still had a long way to go before he was completely recovered. As we mentioned above, Wolfgang is not the only dog who enjoys car rides, but his enthusiasm for car rides was very evident. Every time he saw the couple approaching the car, he literally jumped on the back door, afraid that they would take him away as well. This was one of his favorite pastimes. He literally went into ecstasy every time the car door opened. At any moment, he was ready to hit the open road. He didn't care where we were going. He just wanted to be a part of the journey. The couple were very happy because without much effort, they could make their cute dog happy. Danny and Lucy would go to the dog park on a daily basis because it had a very positive effect on Wolfgang, and also because the park was very close to their house. On the way to the park, they would always roll down the car windows for Wolfgang, and he would enjoy the air with his head peeking out so that he could enjoy all the sights and smells of the area. When they made their way to the park, the dog was simply happy. The Davises were very pleased with the fact that they were so close to the dog park, because that way they could also regularly practice meeting other dogs and provide him with the social experiences he needed to grow into a healthy dog. Believe it or not, Wolfgang knew exactly where to go in the dog park. It was a fun experience, his owner said. As we got closer to the park, he would start whining and jumping around in the back seat with excitement. We all knew that Wolfgang's behavior wasn't unique to him, as most dogs lose their minds when they see a leash. However, it showed everyone that despite his sad past, Wolfgang was now just like any other dog. And it wasn't just in the garden that Wolfgang was happy. He also enjoyed relaxing on the cold floor at home, especially after a long day at the dog park. While he was lying on the floor, he couldn't even open his eyes, probably because he had a good time at the playground that day. Other physical changes in the cute dog's appearance included a growth in height and especially the lengthening of his tail, in addition to the thickening and color changes of his fur. The dog looked completely healthy. His transformation was amazing. From a neglected and miserable dog, thin and helpless, he has now become a happy, lively dog with lots of hair. Everything changed for Wolfgang very quickly. From his sad howls to his tough exterior, he transformed dramatically in just a few months. Danny and Lucy's friends and neighbors, who had also been following Wolfgang's progress with interest and anticipation, were completely surprised by his wonderful success. Owner and dog couldn't be happier. The couple had no idea how well Wolfgang would fit into the family when they started the adoption process. But now they could forget all their worries because Wolfgang was simply wonderful. He took the royal road. He even managed to break some of the strict rules of the family, such as the rule not to feed the dogs with human food. But Wolfgang was so cute that the family members could not handle his sweet face. Every time he asked to eat their delicious food from their hand, they gave in and gave it to him. Rest assured, this was not the only time Wolfgang changed the rules in the house. This dog is just spoiled, Lucy said with a laugh. From the very first moment, Wolfgang's eyes showed how grateful he was to Danny and Lucy for everything they had done for him since he was adopted by them. Many friends of the Davis family have testified that when comparing the photos from when he was a little puppy to the transformation that has happened to him until today, it seemed that these were two completely different dogs. But this was the same dog who simply received love, warmth, and lots of attention. Wolfgang's eyes could melt the heart of anyone who looked at him. Every time one of the couple returned home after being separated from Wolfgang for several hours, the dog jumped on them with joy and happiness. Although not everyone knows, the dog's ability to recognize its owner stems mainly from the use of its olfactory tissues. Smell is the dog's main sense, and it allows it to recognize the unique sense of its owner, even under different conditions and over time. Danny and Lucy commented on this photo above. Our favorite is this one. Today, Wolfgang is a happy, healthy, and pampered dog, and we love him despite all the hair he leaves on our floors, couches, and clothes. We've come to realize that even the worst pets can be restored to physical and mental health with a little love and care, as this photo proves. Lucy concluded, "We are very happy that Wolfgang has gone from being a dog wandering the streets, neglected and starving, to being a permanent part of the family's life. He now lives comfortably and peacefully." The relationship with Wolfgang was built on a foundation of love and trust, and both parties have benefited greatly. Binding bonds through beautiful tales. Thank you for watching.